In the land of Canaan, after the death of Joshua, a new chapter began for the Israelites. This was a time of chaos and uncertainty. The people of Israel were scattered, each tribe trying to find its way. They had settled in the Promised Land, but they did not have a king to guide them. Instead, they were led by judges. These judges were chosen by God to deliver His people from their enemies and to bring them back to Him. The central theme of the book of Judges is a cycle of sin, oppression, repentance, and deliverance. The Israelites would turn away from God, worship other gods, and fall into trouble. Then, in their despair, they would cry out to God for help. In His mercy, He would raise a judge to rescue them. But once the judge died, the cycle would begin again. As the story unfolds, we meet the first of these judges, Othniel. He was the nephew of Caleb, a brave and faithful warrior. When the Israelites turned to idolatry, God allowed them to be conquered by the king of Mesopotamia. For 8 long years, they suffered under this oppression. Their hearts were heavy, and they cried out to God. Sensing their desperation, God raised up Othniel. He led the Israelites to victory and brought peace for 40 years. This teaches us that God hears our cries. He does not abandon us in our suffering. When we turn back to Him, He responds with grace. But after Othniel's death, the Israelites again turned away from God. They forgot the lessons of the past. This led to their defeat by the Moabites. It was during this time that Ehud, a left-handed man from the tribe of Benjamin, emerged as a judge. He crafted a double-edged sword and approached King Eglon of Moab under the pretense of delivering a tribute. When he was alone with the king, Ehud struck him down, delivering the Israelites from Moabite oppression. The land enjoyed peace for 80 years following this victory. Ehud's story teaches us that God can use us despite our weaknesses. Even if we feel different or inadequate, He can turn us into instruments of His deliverance. After Ehud's time, the Israelites fell back into sin. They were oppressed by the Canaanites. It was then that Deborah, a prophetess and judge, rose to prominence. Bold and wise, she summoned Barak, a warrior. She instructed him to gather troops and confront Sisera, the commander of the Canaanite army. Barak hesitated, saying he would only go if Deborah accompanied him. She agreed but warned him that the glory of victory would go to a woman. In the decisive battle, God threw Sisera's army into confusion. The Israelites triumphed. Sisera fled and sought refuge in the tent of Jael, a woman who offered him hospitality. But in a shocking turn of events, Jael killed Sisera while he slept. Deborah and Barak sang a triumphant song, celebrating God's deliverance. This story reminds us of the importance of courage and faith in God's plans. It shows that God can work through anyone, regardless of gender or status. Yet, the cycle continued. Once again, the Israelites forgot God. They fell into the hands of the Midianites. For 7 years, they were oppressed. They hid in caves, afraid and desperate. In their suffering, they cried out to God. Gideon, a humble farmer, was chosen by God. An angel visited him, calling him a mighty warrior. Gideon doubted his abilities, asking for signs to confirm God's plan. Each sign God gave him strengthened his faith. Eventually, Gideon gathered an army of 32,000 men to fight the Midianites. But God told him that the army was too large. He wanted to ensure that the victory would be recognized as his alone. Gideon reduced his army to just 300 men. Armed only with trumpets, torches, and jars, they surrounded the Midianite camp. At Gideon's signal, they broke the jars and shouted, "For the Lord and for Gideon." The Midianites were thrown into confusion, and they turned on one another, leading to a great victory. Gideon's story teaches us about faith and obedience. Even when the odds seem impossible, trusting in God can lead to remarkable outcomes. The peace following Gideon's victory was short-lived. After his death, the Israelites turned away from God again, worshipping the Baals. They faced oppression from the Ammonites. God raised up Jephthah, a man with a troubled past. He had been cast out by his family but was called upon to lead the Israelites. Jephthah vowed to God that if he was given victory, he would offer the first thing that greeted him upon his return. He led the Israelites to victory, but heartbreakingly, his daughter came out to greet him. This story is a solemn reminder of the weight of our words and vows. God desires our devotion, but he calls us to understand the depth of our commitments. After Jephthah, the cycle continued. The Israelites were again in turmoil. God sent them a message through a judge named Ibzan. He led with wisdom and strength, but the people did not heed the call to return to God. The final judge we meet is Samson, a man of incredible strength. Even from birth, he was set apart as a Nazirite, dedicated to God. Yet, Samson struggled with temptation. He fell in love with Delilah, who betrayed him for money. Under the weight of his choices, he revealed the secret of his strength, his hair. The Philistines captured him, blinded him, and mocked him. But in his despair, Samson cried out to God one last time. God restored his strength. In a final act of redemption, Samson pulled down the pillars of the Philistine temple, bringing destruction upon his enemies and sacrificing his own life to save Israel. Samson's life serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of straying from God's path. Even the strongest among us can fall when we rely on our will instead of His. Throughout the book of Judges, we see a recurring pattern of sin and redemption. God's people constantly falter, yet God remains faithful. He raises up leaders to guide them back to Him, showing that His love knows no bounds. As we reflect on these stories, we are reminded that God's grace is always available. No matter how far we stray, He is ready to welcome us back. The cycles of sin and redemption illustrate our own journeys. We may find ourselves lost at times, but God invites us to return to Him. In our modern lives, we face many challenges that may tempt us to stray. Yet, like the Israelites, we can choose to cry out to God. He listens. He responds with love and grace. God's faithfulness is unwavering. He continually seeks reconciliation with His people. As we read the book of Judges, we learn that each time we turn back to Him, we can experience His deliverance. In this chaotic world, we can hold on to the hope that God is always with us. His plans for us are good. We are never too lost to be found. Our commitment to Him can lead to a life of purpose and peace. Let us carry these lessons in our hearts. Let us walk in faith, trusting that God will guide us, just as He guided the Israelites through their darkest times. The stories of Judges remind us that even amidst chaos, God's light shines brightly for those who seek Him.